We have all been there. You just survived, or to be quite frank, didn't, a brutal Dead by Daylight match. Your heart's still pounding, your hands are shaking, and then you see it. The post-game chat explodes with insults, accusations, and words you probably shouldn't repeat. But what if I told you that this toxic nightmare isn't just a few bad apples? What if it's practically baked into the game's DNA? Today, we're digging into the specific triggers and the psychological warfare that turns even the chillest gamers into salty, rage-filled monsters. It all starts with the game's original sin. It's asymmetrical. From the get-go, it's not a level playing field. It's 4 survivors versus 1 killer. This isn't just a numbers game. It's a psychological trap that instantly creates an us versus them mindset. The moment you load in, the other side isn't just another group of players. They are the enemy. This gets even worse when people only play one role. A die-hard survivor main who's never felt the agony of 3 gens popping before they even get a single hook just doesn't get why a killer might play aggressively. And a killer main who's never been tunneled out of a game in the first 2 minutes can't possibly understand the pure, crushing helpfulness that survivors feel. This isn't just your typical Call of Duty lobby where everyone's based on the same page. In Dead by Daylight, your goals are polar opposites. Survivors want out, the killer wants them dead. It's a zero-sum game where one person's win feels like the other person's total, crushing defeat. This fundamental conflict is the soil where all the toxicity starts to grow. Now let's get into some unwritten rules of a war nobody agreed on. So if the game itself is this battlefield, then the community's unwritten rules are the Geneva Convention that no one ever signed. You've probably heard of the infamous Survivor Rulebook for Killers, really. It's a joke, but it points a very real problem. This imaginary list of things killers aren't allowed to do if they want survivors to have fun. Let's name a couple. Things like no camping, no tunneling, no slugging are the big ones. But here's the problem. No one can agree on what they actually mean. One person's toxic face camping is another's strategic defense of the hook. What a survivor calls gen rushing is what a killer sees as only a logical objective. From one side, it's smart gameplay. From the other, it's a cheap, unfair tactic. But let's be real, this isn't just a survivor thing. Killers have their own rulebook too. They get mad about meta perks and crutch builds like dead hard and anti-tunneling or getting taunted at pallets with a few clicks of a flashlight. Both sides feel entitled. It's not one side or another. Survivors feel entitled to a fair fight and killers feel entitled to feel powerful and respected. And when those made up rules are broken, people don't just get mad. They take it personally. And when the frustration boils over, players reach for their real weapons. I'm not talking about hatchets and flashlights. I'm talking about psychological warfare. For survivors, the go-to moves are the classic teabags at a draw pallet, constant flashlight clicking, although this has been nerfed in recent years, or a well-timed body block. That one is a little more strategic. That teabag might seem harmless, but after a long and frustrating chase, it feels like a direct personal insult. It's designed to do one thing: to get in the killer's head. And killers, they give it right back, trust me. The most infamous tactic is face camping, which has now been taken out of the game. You can still camp if you're 10 meters away, where it just stares at the hook to make sure that the save is basically impossible. Then there's tunneling, where you're laser focused on one survivor out of the game while ignoring everyone else. And of course, the classic rage hit on someone who's already on the hook is purely symbolic. Screw you. A lot of this lives in a gray area. Slugging, leaving everyone on the ground, could be a legitimate strategy to win. I've used it myself. Or it can be a way to slowly and painfully bleed out a team to just be mean. I've also done this myself, to be honest. The intent is what separates strategy from toxicity. But in the heat of the moment, who can tell the difference? Every action honestly feels hostile. And this is where it all locks into place. This isn't just a bunch of random angry matches. It's a self-perpetuating cycle of revenge. I just want you to picture this. A killer gets absolutely bullied by a high-level squad. They're looping for days, blinded every pallet, and teabagging at the X gates. They feel humiliated. So what do? They load in the next match, fuming with anger. They aren't there to have fun anymore. They're there to get their power back. They bring their best add-ons, they tunnel the first survivor they see, and they camp the hook like their life depends on it. They pass their misery on to the next 4 people. Now, flip it. One of those survivors who just wanted a chill match gets tunneled and camped into oblivion by this angry killer. They barely got to play. Now they're the ones who are pissed. They start to believe all killers are just mean-spirited bullies. They squad up with their friends, load in the strongest perks, and decide their new mission is to make the next killer's life a living hell. They become the very squad that started this cycle in the first place. There is a sentiment in the community that sums it up perfectly. I stopped caring about their fun when they stopped caring about mine. Each side uses the other's toxic behavior as a green light for their own, creating this endless feedback loop of negativity. So why does it all feel so personal? Because at the heart, Dead by Daylight is a game about power, and more importantly, powerlessness. When you're a survivor, getting hooked and thrown into a passive timeout, basically, where you can do nothing but watch is infuriating. And for Killer, you're supposed to be this monster, the one that's in control of everything. When you can't catch anyone and you're getting taunted from all sides, it doesn't just feel like you're losing. It feels like you're being humiliated. Nobody likes to feel powerless, and this game puts you in the position constantly. It stops being about escaping and sacrificing and becomes a desperate fight to not be the one left feeling like an idiot at the end of the day. So, why does every DBD match feel like it can turn to a toxic nightmare? Because it's the perfect storm. The game's core design splits us into warring tribes. The lack of clear rules means we're always arguing over a rulebook that really doesn't exist. And the constant feeling of frustration and powerlessness traps us in an endless cycle of revenge. Camping killers creates teabagging survivors, and teabagging survivors creates camping killers. The nightmare isn't a bug, it's a feature. It's a system where everyone feels like they're in the right, and no one is willing to be the one to break the cycle. But that's my take, really. What do you think? Is there any way out of this toxic loop that this community is in? Or is it just part of what DBD is? And honestly, drop your own horror stories about this type of stuff in the comments below. I would love to hear them, and I'll be responding to some with some of mine. Honestly, if you enjoyed this little trip into the psychology of Salt, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more deep dives into the games we all love to hate. Thanks for watching.